Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back for another Hell Let Loose video. Update 10 is right around the corner and promises to bring some much needed changes to the game, including the armor rework, our first Eastern Front with Kursk, and more optimizations and bug fixes. But I've been thinking a lot about Update 10 recently, about how Update 7, 8, and 9 weren't that well received and really failed to address some really key problem areas. How maps like Hurtgen and Carentan were added that, while visually look fantastic, weren't nearly as optimized as they should have been, and the constant back and forth with the meta that can really be rather confusing at times and very one sided depending on the map. The meta is in such a strange place, guys, that the Hell Let Loose competitive scene has literally just taken a pause, and that's saying a lot. The scene has grown quite a bit in the last year, and pretty much off the back of Update 9, the next big tournament, the Spring Seasonal, was cancelled. In this video, I want to take you through my thoughts about Update 10 and 3 key reasons why I think it will make or break this game. Hell Let Loose has had a very consistent, thriving community since its launch, and it's grown quite a bit as well. Update 7 introduced things like the Airhead Commander ability, meta changes, and of course Carentan, our first urban map, so there was a lot of hype around this one, which resulted in a big average player count boost. Update 8 mainly brought our Hurtgen overhaul, some fortifications, and trucks, which were all a bit hit or miss, I'd say. Hurtgen is an alright map and visually looks really good, but not only was it so poorly optimized, I personally miss the original Hurtgen map. And finally, our latest update, Update 9, mainly focused on bug fixes, optimizations, and the MG34 and the Utah offensive maps, which, while not bad, didn't add any solid content and didn't really address the armor rework as promised. A lot of people would say, and arguably it is, the worst of our updates so far. Not only have these impacted the playability of the game, but it's also affected the community, especially the veterans. While many veterans have stuck around to see what happens, many others have put the game on the shelf until it gets better, hoping it will get better, of course. But with every update, I hear more discontent, more disappointment, and more veterans leaving the game. My point here, guys, is the next update is promising a lot. Just like Update 7 brought Carentan, a big brand new map, this one is bringing Kursk, and with it, a supposed big armor rework, so veterans are watching with a very keen eye. I am afraid if the update falls short on a lot of its promises, it might be the final straw for them. I mean, why wouldn't it, right? If you are a veteran, would you stick around update after disappointing update? My prediction here, guys, is if Update 10 delivers on most, if not all, of its promises and fixes some major game-breaking bugs and meta issues, then yeah, I think we'll see a large influx of both new players, as we normally do, as well as veterans who are ready to come back after a hiatus and enjoy the game once again. We might even see peaks of 15 to 20,000 players if this happens, which would break the records. But if the update falls short, if it fails to deliver on its promises, I think it may cause veterans who have been disappointed and very frustrated for a long time now to just give up on the game. It would tell them that the devs aren't committed enough to community feedback or the veterans who believed in them. So why would they continue to support it? I think if this happens, a lot more people than we think will leave the game behind, and this will be very bad for the game and its community. The second key reason here, and this is a two-parter, but I'll start with the first one, is arguably the biggest issue the game is currently going through is the meta. Every match you play boils down to which team caps the middle sector first. You have a far higher chance of winning the match if you capture the middle sector, no matter the map, no matter the circumstances, which makes this a massive, massive exploit. Most public games end up with little to no backup garrisons, which means if the middle sector is capped, you can easily start steamrolling the enemy with airheads, with red garrisons. It's just the nature of the meta. The resource system we currently have doesn't help this at all either, as it's much more difficult to maintain resource production if you don't have the middle cap and if you're getting steamrolled. The meta for some maps is straight up broken as well. Take Foy, for example. The map heavily favors the Axis side simply because almost every strong point is closer to their side of the front line. It's very difficult for the US to get a proper foothold, let alone defend a strong point if the enemy can have garrisons so close to it. This is one of the primary reasons why a lot of maps are simply not played in the competitive scene, for example, because a lot of maps are unbalanced. But there are loads of meta issues, and I'm only just scratching the surface here. It's only been getting worse update to update. The game, as it stands, just doesn't quite hold up to the Kickstarter promises and really suffers because of this. So the point is, if Update 10 doesn't fix at least some of these things, then I think we'll see a much larger exodus of players than we think. People fed up with just rushing the mid cap with a supply truck every single match and getting hailed on by artillery while doing so will just leave the game if nothing changes. I also just wanted to finish off this section with the armor rework. There are some really major issues right now with the tanker experience, whether it's mine effectiveness, the sheer number of solo tanking happening, the broken hitboxes, or the arcadey ballistics. Everything adds up, and with each update that fails to fix any of this, tankers grow more and more tired of the game. If you're not able to tank properly, why play the game at all? This, alongside the meta issues, will absolutely make or break this game in Update 10. Tanking is a huge part of the experience. Even if you don't play a tanker role much, you know it's a very different match if you don't have a tank on the battlefield. Tanking really adds a lot to the experience. So basically, we need this armor rework to be good in Update 10. Otherwise, I predict we'll see a lot of tankers leave this game for good. My final reason here today is simply Kursk. We've had two major maps or map overhauls in the last year with Carentan and Hurtgen, and with each of these maps, we've had a lot of issues and a lot of negative feedback. They look great, don't get me wrong. Visually, they are amazing, and the devs have done a fantastic job on these maps. But how can you play a game that has big FPS issues? Granted, some of these have been fixed by now, but even so, there are still issues with these maps. So Kursk is coming, and with it, huge Eastern Front additions with Russian tanks, weapons, uniforms, faces, and music, and so much more, and it's incredibly exciting. Every single one of us literally cannot wait for this new front in the game. But, and it's the biggest but in this video, guys, if Kursk suffers from the same issues we experienced with Carentan and Hurtgen, then I think this game is in deep trouble. This is huge, guys. This is brand new content. If the devs don't get it right, and yes, they'll never get it 100% right, but that's not what I'm asking for here. I'm saying if we play it in the PTE this week and there are clear issues that they don't resolve by release, or if there are just straight up major performance and optimization issues on release, then it's not good enough. The devs spend about 4 to 5 months between each update. That's up to 3 updates a year, which is a lot, and you can clearly see they work hard on it, but they're just shooting themselves in the foot by releasing maps that aren't optimized enough and ends up barely being playable. The point is, guys, Kursk needs to get the basics right. If we get something similar to Carentan or Hurtgen, then I'd say the game is in deep trouble. I'd say many players won't be happy, and coupled with other factors like if the meta doesn't change enough or if the armor rework isn't good enough, this will absolutely put players off the game. That's it for today, guys. Update 10 is going through PTE this week, so definitely play it and check out the changes and absolutely feedback to the developers. We need to continue our engagement with them if we want to have positive change to come. Hopefully, all these changes and Kursk are good enough and end up actually making the game the best it can be. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and if you did, give it a like and drop your thoughts or questions in the comments section below. And definitely answer this one question for me. What are you looking forward to most from this update? Subscribe for more Hell Let Loose content, gameplay, and news. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.